I am here with Bradford Ferguson. We are going to break news. I mean, we didn't actually get the news first, but I doubt if anybody out there already knows this unless they've been on Twitter, I'm sorry, X, over the last 15 or 20 minutes. But we're also going to break it our own way. And I believe it's going to be the most significant thing you guys have heard this week. And it's going to eventually affect the stock. Maybe not tomorrow, but eventually folks are going to get what happened just now, and they're going to be blown away, and it's going to change everything. And it's so is that enough teasing?
That's a lot, yeah.
Okay, let's try it then. This from Sawyer Merritt only minutes ago. Elon Musk now reportedly oversees Tesla sales in North America, Europe, and the Middle East and Africa. Additionally, Elon has assumed oversight of the people that were previously led by Drew Baglino. So, if this is true, and it sounds absolutely like what I would like something that I would be unsurprised about, this is going to change everything. It's going to be really, really a really big deal. What are your first thoughts?
It's plausible to me. Elon had the idea of, forcing people to get FSD rides if they, get work done on their Tesla, or if they just receive delivery on a Tesla, that they must have an FSD ride. And you've speculated that Tesla got good information from that indicated that people really weren't that excited about $200 a month for FSD, and Tesla subsequently switched to $100 a month on FSD. So this would make sense to me.
Okay, so here's my theory. Now,
Elon
remember,
may call it a lie, even if there's like a good amount of truth to it.
he might. So I'm going to lay out my theory on this. And remember, this comes from the heart of an actual entrepreneur who started 40 businesses, including a plastics manufacturing plant. And so I have a little bit of a sense of what goes on in the mind of the entrepreneur. And one of those things is that you shift your focus from time to time. You get a wake-up call. All right. So for me, I always thought of my company as being divided into like 5 sections, accounts receivable, sales, manufacturing, etc. And those, I couldn't concentrate on all 5 at once, even though I only had 100 employees. I still couldn't concentrate on all 5 at once. It was impossible. So
Right.
what happens? You have a lousy sales year. So now you become sales focused. Yeah, or you have your collections are really horrible. So you become focused on accounts receivable collections. So I think what's happened here is that Elon, for the last year, has been very highly focused on what?
Technology.
X.
X. Okay.
X.com, X.ai, Dojo to a certain extent, because it kind of is all part of the same thing. He's certainly been paying attention to the robots and whatnot, but his focus has been all about getting X fixed. Now, some people say, oh, well, that means he's not paying any attention to Tesla anymore. No, it just means his focus has been over here. All right, now, wake up call 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. Wake up call. Sales aren't picking up like he wants them to. FSD is doing great and it's getting better and better. Wake up call. Now it's time to start thinking about how to roll that out. Wake up call. Advertising has been coming along and they're kind of figuring out what's happening with advertising, but it's still not generating the numbers. It's not completely doing the task. So the wake up call became, okay, we got to do something. We got to get the sales done. We've got to get the 4680 thing fixed and going, and we've got to get the FSD thing rolling and go on to robotaxi. Well, so what does that mean? X is doing fine. It's doing fine. Their advertisers are coming back. They were able to give people that had over 5,000 followers free blue check. So he's done what he needed to do there for now. It can operate. He doesn't have that thing. He doesn't have X.com. That's probably the X.ai rather. He's already told us they're going to be at level. They're going to be at the same level as OpenAI in a couple of months, maybe even passing them in a lot of different categories in a couple of months. That's kind of, somebody's got that. They've got that taken care of. So here comes the new focus. And what happens when Elon focuses? It gets fixed. He sleeps on the floor if necessary. He does whatever it takes. He finds a way. And that's been his history for his entire time in business, for 20, whatever that is, 26, 27 years from the beginning of his start. You can read all about it in the Elon Musk method. Every time he focuses, it's only a matter of months usually before whatever it is that he's focusing on is completely resolved.
And I'd say for most entrepreneurs, they don't love sales. Sales can be finicky. You gotta do a lot of experimenting and see what works. And then you get good at it, then your business grows, and then you want to offload it to somebody else. And but then, you know, things can happen where you end up taking back the role on sales or bringing your focus back to sales. So this makes sense to me.
Actually, you can go all around the room. I've had 400 different customers in my consulting business, everything from a chimney sweep to major big time lawyers in Miami and Los Angeles. And everybody hates everything about business except what they love to do about business. You know, maybe it's the task itself, lawyering, you know, or doctoring. They like that, but they don't want to sell. They don't want to bookkeep. They don't want to manage people. They don't want to hire and fire. They don't want to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's when they come to the conclusion someday that they have to focus on that category, whatever is going wrong, then they go and do it. I think Elon is a special breed, though, and this will sound so braggadocio, and I'm so sorry about it. I actually love all those things. You've heard me say I'm a sales and marketing guy, okay? But I love all the bookkeeping stuff. I love getting my head into it and doing the spreadsheets and all that. I love working out the collection problems, and I love hiring. I love firing. Well, not firing exactly, but I love managing people. So I think Elon is that way too, but that doesn't mean he can do it all every day. So you have to shift your focus around. And I know he loves to sell. Holy mackerel, the guy is a salesman par excellence. He likes to sell the company, the mission, the products, everything about it. He loves to sell. So, but there's a difference between selling and marketing in the advertising sense, okay? Finding out what the best way to get your highest ROI, finding out exactly who it is that you need to be selling right now. I think that's the Midwest of the United States. I've said that over and over again, but how do we get those Midwesterners to start getting on the S curve? So this is, I think, what Elon is realizing. He probably heard it from me. That's a laugh, but I think he's realized he's got to sell the Midwest. Maybe he thinks he needs more sales help in Europe as well, since he's also in charge of Europe. And we'll see now. I'm saying it's 3 to 4 months that he gets in the saddle, and you'll start seeing it right. You're already seeing it. Germany, 0% interest rates.
Yep.
United States, $29.99 down and $299 a month for a Model 3.
$299 a month for a Model 3.
They said 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
$29.99 and $299 a month. Yeah.
Yep.
For a Model 3. Just happened yesterday. I think this is, to your point, I think these are Elon's. He's already putting his finger on these things.
Yeah, I think this makes sense, and I think it's good news. If I was Tesla, what I would, and I don't know more than Elon, okay?
Neither.
There's a lot of work that Tesla needs to do to educate consumers. They've basically been brainwashed by the media for over 10 years. But I think like your lowest hanging fruit are your higher income areas, your areas where there's fewer apartments, more homes where people can charge their cars in garages. And I think it's also spots that already have a Tesla center already there. So, where you have a Tesla center close by, it's easy for people to be EV owners. They're not in a high rise or an apartment. They can just, modify one of the outlets in their garage for $500 and be able to charge at home. I think this is like the kind of consumer Tesla should focus on. But maybe Elon's just also going to be focusing more on the advertising side and pushing the buttons on what's working, and maybe they'll start scaling the advertising up higher on whatever it is working. They've done a lot of experimentation already, so they should know what does better than other things. So then they can try that and then split test around that and see, further refine it from there.
Yeah, I think you're right. So you've just designed the what do you want to call it? The perfect customer.
Yeah,
They live in the county area around Indianapolis, not necessarily downtown. They live in the burbs
the donut around Indianapolis.
around Indianapolis. Maybe they're even a little further out. Maybe they're in the newest, burbs that are being built right now. They're around the universities.
Mhm.
And I grew up in St. Louis, so St. Louis County, not downtown, but the county. And there's a couple of million people out in St. Louis County. This is where the opportunity really lies right now, and this is where I think I'm hoping that that's what I mean, this is not even hard to think about. I mean, you got 3%, 4% of the people, 5% in these states buying Teslas at this point, compared to California where it's 17%. So what's hard?
Yeah. What frustrates the heck out of me is the continued sales of BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. The comparable Tesla is just a far superior product, and it can be had for less. And people just continue to buy these other brands out of inertia. And like this, the service is way better because you don't have to have service. Like
Exactly.
you don't need new brakes. You don't need a $350 oil change that Mercedes going to charge you. Um, you're not going to be giving, your hard-earned money to these service departments of the car dealers. So, maybe there's some aspects like this that also frustrate Elon.
Well, I would say the number one thing that's probably frustrating him is that he has 250,000 vehicles that he could make in Austin that he can't sell, and he's got 250,000 vehicles that he can make in Berlin that he can't sell. I think that's what's really frustrating him the most. It's like, I've got the capacity. I don't want to be sitting on capacity that I'm not
Yeah.
using. And I know that would be frustrating me.
And when you say you can't sell, what you mean is we're not sure we can sell every incremental one of them.
Yes.
That, could easily sell 200,000, but maybe not the extra 50 or something like that.
So I don't know if I've said it on when I've had you on the show, but I know I've said it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times over the last 2 months. Who is in charge of sales and marketing in the United States? Can anybody name that person?
I don't think we met them on stage.
So
I'm guessing there are some people that do that.
but no, but we know who the vice president is in charge of this and this and this and this.
Mhm.
We had 20 vice presidents on the stage, okay, or whatever it was it was, I don't know if it's 20, but it was close to it. And all these guys were getting their moment in the sun. There wasn't anybody
Mhm.
who came out and said, "Oh, I'm sales and marketing."
Yeah.
So I've been complaining about that. I did a rant about it, I think 2 or 3 months ago, which started this whole rant about that subject. You need this top flight. Now, look, there's nothing better than word of mouth. It is the best way to sell that there is on the planet. And word of mouth has been working for a very long time. But you get into a slowdown in the economy, you get into a situation where there's too much negative news with regard to other people's chargers not working sufficiently. So people are nervous that they can't get their car charged. And yeah, now you've got to come up with another way to sell, another way to get that metal moving. And
Mhm.
so
There's
anyway,
also
that's
confusion about hybrids versus full EVs.
very big confusion.
A lot of my clients who are diversified, who aren't like all in on Tesla, they think a hybrid is essentially the same thing as a full battery electric vehicle. It's
Right.
a bit quite frustrating for me.
Yes, I'm
something
sure.
I address, but still, like, I can't, totally cut through all the brainwashing that the media has done and the car industry, and they call it electrification. If
Yes,
it's a hybrid, it's electrified.
yes, yes, yes. They kind of came in and stole the EV thing, so we had to come up with BEV in order to differentiate. Well, okay. So the other thing that's happened in the last few days that I started putting together in terms of my thinking about this is that all of a sudden, when I say last few days, it's actually been, I guess, a few weeks. Elon's or the Tesla seems to be shoring up the margins. So we're seeing no discounts on the local inventory. We're
Hmm.
seeing a price increase as of April 1 in the United States on Model Ys. You're seeing
There's
hardly
a price increase in China, I think.
it might have been a price increase. Yeah, a couple of small price increases in China, but no cutting.
Hmm.
You're seeing inventories dropping in the United States. Apparently, that's what we're believing from some of the reporting there. And then you're seeing a big shoring up of operating margins with this massive cut in employee count. So that seems like it's also kind of, again, something that a really good CEO might do is to shore up margins both on the manufacturing side and the operating side to prepare for a real big push on the sales side.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to do what they're doing as far as shaking things up and streamlining before like a big new product push. It's going to take a lot of work to get the robotaxi to where they want it, not only on the technology side but also on the materials and steel side, as far
Right,
as
right,
putting it together and figuring out how to manufacture it, but then the sales and everything, supply chain, distribution, you need a lot of bandwidth for that. And you will need people ultimately,
right. Yeah,
but you're clearing out a little room, perhaps maybe before you hire for that. um
yeah,
Also, I've felt like in general Tesla may have too many chefs in the kitchen. They have a lot of engineers,
yeah.
and a lot of decisions get made, but a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and maybe they had more than they needed.
That's true. And one of the other things that happens is if you have a department, sometimes you get a situation where it's the underlings, the next in lines are they don't have any place to go, and so they start getting antsy.
Mm,
They want to be, the next rung up the ladder, but there's no room for them because whoever's the next rung up the ladder is firmly entrenched. Uh,
yeah.
I saw that when my company stalled out at about 5 million in sales for about 5 or 6 years. All of a sudden, people were getting antsy because there was no opportunity to advance.
Mm,
So I'm thinking that that might have been part of what was going on with Drew. Is just make some room for these younger, or not as long on the job. Make room for them to come up and show their stuff.
mm.
And so that might have been what was going on there. I don't know. There's a lot of theories about what was going on there. So I don't know if you and I were the first to talk about this idea I had last week, but if not, you can be the last. Anyway, so of your last, you've been driving your FSD?
Yeah, I drove my FSD quite a bit today, and didn't have any safety critical interventions. I drove over 60 miles.
Okay.
Um, I did have an instance where it went around a car that was turning left, and it went to the shoulder, and the area the shoulder was in was pretty nice there, but there was a white line
Okay.
next to the shoulder. So once it got in the shoulder, I think it didn't want to cross the white line to get back, and the road wasn't that bad, so
Oh,
there wasn't a lot of gravel or anything. So it just wanted to hang out in the shoulder
I
after it
see.
did that. So I had a disengagement for that, but like, yeah, I very impressed, and going from my house to here, where I'm working, it did it flawlessly. So very impressed with version 12.3.4.
So
And
here's my new metric that I'm recommending. Okay, the new metric is, could in your last 5 drives, how many of those drives, if you hadn't been in the car, would the car have made it?
yes.
I mean, that's the robotaxi test, right? It's
Yeah.
not really whether you would have disengaged, but rather would the car have disengaged? Would it have been in trouble? Would it have run into anything? Because sometimes we'll just disengage because it looks a little scary, but maybe the
Mm.
car would have done just fine. So that's my new metric. I want to know. I'm trying to get people to start reporting on, would the car have done just fine if you hadn't been in the driver's seat?
Mhm. I like that.
Okay. So we'll see what comes of that. So here's a big question for the week, of course, has been all around the $25,000 car. So we know that, there's some kind of a car coming. Maybe they're going to show us metal on the 8th of August, maybe not. We don't know that for sure. But
I'd say that's 99%.
okay, you think we'll see an actual vehicle, all right?
Mhm.
But a whole bunch of people think it'll only be a car with no steering wheel, no pedal, with the seats facing each other or some kind of new configuration. And I've looked and I've asked Grok. I haven't really, but anyway, I've done my best to remember. Is there a time, one single time, when anybody in authority, including Elon Musk, has said that the $25,000 consumer compact car has been canceled or delayed?
Not canceled, but Elon has set a new timeline for it.
He set a new
Um,
timeline for it.
for the $25,000 car. But that wasn't recently. That was like maybe
Oh,
3 months ago or so.
no, I mean recently,
Yeah.
since all the kerfuffle started, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's been anything from
Mhm.
Elon saying that it was delayed, canceled. I mean, this is strictly from rumorville. And yet the stock, I think, has partially gone down. All of these pundits and all of these analysts are all downgrading the stock based on the fact that the Model 2, or whatever you want to call it, is canceled or delayed.
Yeah. I think Tesla somewhat needs the compact hatchback, because Europe, they're going to drag their feet as far as approving uh, autonomous driving. Um, so like I think autonomous driving is going to work in the US and be fine for Tesla, and they'll be doing their robotaxi version there, but they need the compact hatchback in Europe, maybe also in China, um, and various parts of Asia. So I think robotaxis will work in some areas in Asia, but like probably the final frontier for Tesla figuring out self-driving is going to be India. So like if Ashok Ellaswamy figures out how to get that to work in India, like I think he could probably just like ascend into heaven from there. It's just very difficult. There's just tons of pedestrians, bicycles, everything. It's almost like um, swimming or being in the ocean where you're just kind of flowing with things. And
Right,
it's
yeah.
but I'm guessing with imitation learning, it could quickly learn how to do it.
Yeah, I think that my comparison is where you have a downtown area, like in New York or someplace, where you've got people crossing sometimes against the red light, sometimes with the red light, and you're trying to make a right turn. And it's like, and you may have like 40 or 50 or 60 pedestrians all crossing, and before all of them can get across, already the people are starting to cross against the red light, and but we've seen a couple of examples where the FSD is inching out and aggressively just moving slow, into that situation. So
Mhm.
it's kind of, I think, the same kind of thing
Yeah,
that,
it's like a negotiation. It's
yeah.
being assertive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. But my point really was that people are what do you call it? Underbidding the stock based on a rumor.
Hmm.
This delay or cancellation is only a rumor. I'm hoping that on Wednesday, Elon will make it extremely clear, if not before, but I don't know that the model, that car may be coming out exactly the same time it was before.
Yeah, I think that would definitely light a fire. Also, like, if the stock dropped, what, 15% or 20% when Tesla lost the ruling in the Delaware court
Right, right.
over a few days. So if the pay package was ratified or
Yeah.
just put back in place by the shareholders, I'm not saying it would go up 15 to
20%.
20%, but, like, why wouldn't it? Maybe that will turn out not to be a catalyst, but if that caused the stock to go down, people worrying about Elon leaving because of, pay package being rescinded, um, it should support it if it were consequently ratified again.
Yeah.
And Tesla did the perfect move in my mind, where they just proposed it again and just provided more disclosures around it. That was the main issue that the Delaware judge seemed to have.
Right, right. And I didn't see it myself because I haven't spent as much time on X today as I usually do. But I've heard from others that they think they have the 70% ready to vote for it already. So
Hmm.
it's like they know, which one of the institutions are going to vote for it. They've got the big players, the Ron Barons and whatnot that they know are going to vote for it. So apparently they're already figuring they got like 70% certainty.
Yeah, the institutionals are very good with voting. Allegedly, they vote 90% of their shares. Shockingly, allegedly, retail does not vote enough of their shares. They're
Right.
very low participation. So we do need to get the word out, especially after the custodians such as Charles Schwab and Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, et cetera, after they make the voting go live.
Mm,
So, once that voting's live, people really need to push that folks need to vote their shares.
yeah, yeah.
And it's pretty easy once you log in to be able to vote your shares, I believe.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. So what else is going on? Has anything else been intriguing you over the last week or so during all this drama?
Um, uh, Over at rebellionaire.com, I'd say we're generally bullish about the robotaxi, and it is a risk. They do need to figure it out before the cars are totally done being made. Um, but I think Tesla's making the right move. So there was a really good post recently where I think this was a limiting factor. So Jordan Giesecke, and he said that Tesla shouldn't wait until they figure it out to then begin to make the car, because then they would, it would take them another 2 years to make the car. So if they have high confidence that it's going to work,
Mm,
now's the right time for them to push out that model. So this really makes sense to me. Also, I think robotaxi is going to deliver much more profits per vehicle than the compact hatchback ever would.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And it's just it's also just much better for the mission, because you're putting out cars that are um, being used much quicker. You're going through the battery faster, and then at the end of the battery's life, you can just recycle it and get that circular economy going.
Yeah.
Um, I think Tesla is moving down the right path. It's certainly disconcerting because there's risks that it may not work. Um, but Tesla has a lot of advantages. They have a fleet where people are paying Tesla for the car, they're paying Tesla for the software, they're connecting their cars at home to their Wi-Fi because they get an update every 3 months or so. So the cars are connecting to the Wi-Fi on a daily basis. And Tesla can use that as a search engine to send videos back to their mothership.
Right.
So wherever they identify flaws, they can have the cars search for those situations and send it back to Tesla. And then that's data for Tesla to train on and to make it better.
Mhm.
So they're not paying for the cars like Waymo is. They're paying for the cars and a ton of extra equipment and a supercomputer in the car. Tesla is not paying engineers to be in the cars. They're paying a small team, but like not like 500 some engineers to do these ride-alongs in the cars. It's just a much better solution that scales. And it's with electric vehicle, which is gonna have a lower cost per mile.
Yeah.
So we think that if, Tesla figures this out, and reaches scale, it's gonna be very hard, for folks to compete with them, and they probably will have something like a 4 or 5 year lead. But then with the addition of scale, it's just gonna make it really hard.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard it said that, Uber is profitable today and they're twice the size as Lyft, and they got like a 2 year head start.
Oh,
That,
yeah.
that doesn't mean we can apply those exact numbers to the situation with Tesla. Um, but Lyft is not profitable today while Uber is.
Right. Yeah.
Makes all the difference.
So the two things that are being talked about a lot, one of them was Kathy Wood's idea months and months ago, and that is the idea of starting out as supervised drivers in the transition. So
Mhm.
pretty much you have to assume that the car is ready to go. It's ready to be a robotaxi. But for the first month or two, to put regulators at ease, to put customers at ease, you still have a driver sitting there. It's level 3.5 or something. But you have somebody that can take over. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's 3 months. You get the data from what's going on out there, and then you make the go no go decision.
And you could do this with the existing fleet of S, X, 3, and Y. And then
Right.
once Cybertruck gets the FSD software, they can do that there too. Yeah, Tesla already has a fleet of 6 million cars, and I believe it's over 2 million in the US
Right.
that this could be done with.
Yeah. And then the second part of that one, I don't know that I was first. I probably wasn't first, but I don't know why they don't just do a deal with Uber starting August 9th and or Lyft, where they're a distributor. They're in between. They're Uber drivers that already have Teslas are automatically in the system. And they can now be the supervised driver until it becomes unsupervised. And now that Uber driver can sit home and put his feet up and watch football while his car's making money for him.
Yeah, or it could be the situation where the Uber driver is in the car and there, there's some kind of partnership with data sharing if Tesla's not already getting that. They do have an alliance with Uber where the drivers can get a discount on buying a Tesla and then run it in their fleet, or they can rent it on a weekly basis,
Right.
that kind of thing. And yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for a partnership to happen. I don't think Tesla should buy Uber or Lyft. Those companies are way too expensive anyways. So like Uber, it would cost Tesla $200 billion to buy. They don't need to spend 200 billion to learn the lessons from Uber. So I think a partnership would make a lot of sense. I agree.
Yeah. So that would be a couple of things that might be coming up. Those are things that I'd like to see happen. Now here's another one that this is going to happen. It's a matter of when, but with Elon now in charge, I would think it would be way up on his list of things to do because I think it would sell a lot of vehicles. We need Grok in the car. That would be so much fun. And Elon's all about fun. We need to be able to have that conversation with Grok. and people would buy the darn car just because that, my mother the car has finally become a thing.
Yeah, I think that would be great, especially if it's useful and Grok talks back to you. I'd say it reminds me of one of the biggest disappointments, which is Siri.
Yeah,
The Siri has just been so limited over the years. Sorry, I can't help you with that, or here are some results from the web. I can
right.
that you can go read yourself. I won't even read to you. You can go read it for yourself. You whatever,
Yeah,
So like an interactive assistant would be a lot of fun for sure.
yeah, and I think that would be a big selling feature. So we'll see if Elon's listening today, or if he's. I have to believe that that's already something he badly wants to do, because it's so much part of his personality to want to be able to provide something like that.
Mhm.
So, okay, what about the market? Let's talk about the market. The S&P is now down 5% from its all-time high. It is the what do you call it? Dow is down over 5, almost 6% from its all-time high. Are we going to get a complete 10% rest here?
It hasn't changed much since we got together last week. So
Okay. Well, the S&P is down more.
yeah, Tesla was down 5 points today and is down in the after hours about 2 points. Or it was at 7:59 Eastern when the
Right,
after hours ended.
right.
It just seems endless. So eventually it'll bottom out and no one will ring a bell and say it's the bottom, but it'll be the bottom.
Nobody will ring a bell. I like
You
that.
you don't ring a bell at the top or the bottom because
Wish they did.
we won't even know.
We won't know until way later. Yeah,
Yeah.
a year later, we'll go back and say, well, that must have been the day.
Mhm.
Okay, so all right. So we're not going to give me your theory on the overall market then, huh? You don't know if it's going to continue down. Might have a lot to do with interest rates.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, let's look at interest rates. Take a look at what's happening in the pre-market, because that's definitely been a big deal all week. Excuse me, I'm getting a froggy. We have got the bonds have relaxed a little. They were up strongly today, but off 2 basis points in the pre-market, down to 4.627. They touched on 5% the other day, but they're definitely staying away from 5% the rest of the week so far. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. We've got the oh boy, now I've screwed up everything.
Kermit the Frog here.
Yeah, I've completely thrown my entire app off, so I may be in trouble trying to give you any more information about bonds. Yeah, I'll never figure it out again. It's completely wrong here. Okay, let's go on to oil. I'm getting red ears here. I'm embarrassed that I
Oh
messed up.
boy.
Yeah.
Shame. Shame.
Oil is flat in the pre-market, sitting at 82 for Texas Intermediate, Brent 87. So that has dropped, quite nicely this week after Israel seems to be, maybe they've decided no harm, no foul. I'm not sure, but so far they haven't had any kind of response. Natural gas has been, if you like something that's been volatile, it's been natural gas the last week, but it's settling down a little bit right now. $1.75, down 0.4 in the pre-market. Gold down 7, 23.90. Some people are saying gold's going to 3,000.
Why not a million?
Why not? Why not a million? Copper down 0.21% at 4,427. Once again, I just like to remind people that the high. So Larry Goldberg talks to us about this being the canary. Copper's all-time high 4.75, and we're sitting at 442. So that's an interesting stat to keep watching. The dollar,
It's a little wild that's happening in the face of like slowing EV growth globally.
yeah,
Yeah, EVs only grew 34% globally last year.
only.
Only. That may slow way down this year. We'll see what happens. But you know, even so, it's a little shocking about Dr. Copper.
Yes, well, the other side of the Dr. Copper, which I keep promising to do more investigation into and keep forgetting to, is all these data centers that have to be built. So it might be that this is a one-off, that this is, a demand situation that's coming up that's causing this copper move right now. Dollar extremely flat in the after hours or pre-market. The Bitcoin is up 2,000 for the day at 63, but the halving didn't happen, or it happened, but it didn't really cause any movement.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing on that. Okay, the equities, Dow Jones up 22 or 0.06%, S&P down 11 or down 0.22%, and the Nasdaq up 80. Down 81 or 0.52%. Nasdaq down strongly. Also, Nvidia has been down. So over 100 points from its all-time high. Is that because the CEO is doing something wrong?
Nope. I think there's been some lackluster news with, I believe, Taiwan Semi and ASML, and people are, you know, transferring that to NVIDIA and thinking that NVIDIA is gonna be worse for some reason. I think NVIDIA will be fine, but people just got overly excited about it.
I thought you have to throw out the board of directors and fire the CEO.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you just normally do if a great stock has a moment of problems?
Yes, it's so disappointing that people are attacking Tesla's board of directors in the way that they are. It's I think it's in calling the board of directors of Tesla illegal. This is something that one of your neighbors in California said recently.
I take no credit. Anything
Yeah,
west of me, I take no credit for.
yeah. So a board of directors is supposed to be 100% independent according to the NASDAQ or whatever. And Tesla has some board of directors where, Kimball Musk is Elon's brother and Gracias is Elon's friend, but also on the board of directors of SpaceX and others. So it's just very disappointing that people are attacking Tesla like this. I think this is a really important time for Tesla. It's a very important time to vote your shares when you can. It's a very important time to try out V12 for yourself. Hopefully you can get your hands on the update and to try it out and see for yourself how improved it is in your area, and then to show that to friends and family. So I think this is a time to really throw your support behind Tesla. I don't think we should be, gnashing our teeth at Elon and the board because the stock's down.
All right. There you go. I second that emotion. Last thing, how are you having fun with your Cybertruck?
Yeah, I was just at the doctor's office to do a blood panel the other day, and one of the doctors heard about it, and he's got one on order, but he hasn't configured yet. And so I got an email from this doctor, and he wanted to see it and show it to his family. And they're going to be considering configuring for it, or they're going to be getting a Model X. So
Okay.
they're just trying to figure out what's best for them. And while we were showing it off, other people came by. We drove around some roundabouts where there was someone who was driving. They were sitting at the roundabout and they had their camera out, taking pictures. Drivers taking pictures.
Drivers, yeah, right.
So yeah,
So did you get
the
your
Cybertruck is a celebrity.
did you get your update for the smaller turning radius yet?
That's not yet,
Oh,
but
that's not yet. Okay.
that is coming. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I remember I had a Cadillac Sedan DeVille for a while, which was almost probably as long, maybe even longer than this truck.
Mm,
And it was so impressive how the turning radius was so small because it was something that Cadillac worked on,
mhm.
So this will be even more impressive to see this truck doing that. What's it, 11 foot or something radius? I forget. It's something, but it's really, really small.
It'll probably end up being tighter than the Model S.
Right.
And what's cool about it is when you turn the wheel, even at low speeds, it only turns 150 degrees.
Right. Right.
So you never get lost on, once you get used to it, you never get lost with the steering wheel on the Cybertruck.
Yeah. And you're used to the no stalks now?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Okay, no big deal. Okay.
And I have no side mirror, no rear view mirror.
Oh,
It's all on my display and
all right. All
using
right.
the blind spot cameras for my side mirrors.
Nice.
So I don't have any blind spots with the Cybertruck.
Now, are you able to have the side mirrors and the rear view mirror on all three together all the time?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the question I've had for a long time. Hadn't ever bothered to try it on my car, but on the Cybertruck, at least you can have all three of those all the time. That
Yeah,
must,
and you should be able to have it now on your car unless it's a little older. Maybe it doesn't quite
sure.
do that, but I have a 2020 Model Y.
I have a 2021, so,
Okay, so it does that on that as
okay.
well. If you just hit that camera button, you might need to drag it up or something like that, or hit it once to get it to show the side ones at the same time.
Interesting. Okay, that's something I got to do. Hey, there you go, folks. That is worth it right there. You should use that. You should get used to putting all your attention on the screen, getting away from the side mirrors, getting away from the rear view mirror. You're going to be safer. It's just a fact. You just are. I just got to be. Hey, great. I think we covered everything I wanted to cover. We broke news for sure, at least with regard to the second part of it, the analysis. And so good news is Elon is going to be all focused right now on Tesla, on the sales, and on the 4680. Maybe a little bit on the we didn't even talk about Lathrop, but maybe that's for next week or something. But he'll be focused. Drew was mostly in charge of 4680 and Lathrop, so maybe there's hiccups there that he can deal with. If we don't know why it isn't, growing as fast as we hoped it would, but now Elon is going to be focused.
He's really good at forming teams and picking talent.
Yeah.
So I have confidence that we continue to be on the right path.
Cool enough. Thank you, Bradford, as always, for helping us find the good news on Thursday. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.